What's going on YouTube? Today in this video we're gonna learn about JavaScript from scratch. So let's get started. Hi and welcome to this course on JavaScript full course for beginners. My name is Ashmat from OctAcademy and I'll be your instructor for this course. So guys, this is the first section of this course, Introduction to JavaScript. First of all, congratulations on deciding to learn JavaScript. It is a powerful and widely used programming language that is essential for anyone interested in building interactive and dynamic web applications. So in this course, we will be using the latest version of the JavaScript known as ES6 or the ECMAScript 6. This version includes a number of new features and improvements that make JavaScript even more powerful and easier to use. Before we dive into the details of JavaScript, let's start by talking about the web and how JavaScript fits into the overall ecosystem. So I prepared this course assuming you are an absolute beginner who knows nothing about JavaScript, right? So this course will go step by step. Any of you who want to learn a particular topic, I have added the timestamps and the outline for each and every section, so you guys can jump into the exact topic that you want to learn. Awesome. So let's begin. Alright, so first let's go through some web fundamentals. So what is this web? The web or the World Wide Web, WWW, is a vast network of interconnected documents and other resources that can be accessed through the internet. This is a system of interconnected documents and other resources linked by hyperlinks and URLs, which allows user to easily access information and interact with each other online. Web browsers such as Chrome, Firefox, and Safari are software programs that allows user to access and view the resources on the web. When you type in a web address or URL into a web browser, the browser sends a request to a web server to retrieve the resource at that address. The server then sends the resources back to the browser, which displays it for the user. So web browsers interpret and display the content of these documents using the combination of technologies including HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So HTML or hypertext markup language is the standard markup language for creating web pages. It defines the structure and content of a web page using a set of tags and attributes, right? So the CSS or the cascading style sheets is a style sheet language used for describing the look and formatting of a document written in HTML. It allows you to specify things like colors, fonts, and layouts for your web page. So the JavaScript, on the other hand, is a programming language that is commonly used to add interactive and dynamic behavior to the web pages. It allows you to do things like respond to the user input, update page content, and many more. So think that you want to do something when a user clicks on a button, you can do that using the JavaScript. Overall, using JavaScript allows you to create interactive and responsive web pages that can respond to the user input and events. So now that you have the basic understanding of the web and how HTML, CSS, and JavaScript fit into the picture, next let's move on to the real business. We'll start learning about basic JavaScript syntax and data types. So guys, before we move on, let's a little bit talk about the history of JavaScript. So in the mid-90s, there was a company called Netscape Communications who owned a successful web browser in the market. It was called Netscape Navigator. So this was one of the most popular web browser of its time. At that time, the web was mostly static with simple HTML pages that displayed text and images. At this time, most of the companies used website just to showcase their company details. However, Netscape wanted to make the web more interactive and dynamic, and they came up with a plan to add a scripting language to their Netscape Navigator browser. So for this, they hired Brandon Eich, who was a programmer at the time, to develop a scripting language for their browser. So Brandon's task was to create a language that would be easy to use for non-programmers and that would work seamlessly with their browser. So guys, within the 10 days of the period, Brandon Eich developed a language called Mocha, so which was later renamed to LiveScript, and finally it's renamed to JavaScript. So once again, JavaScript was created by Brandon Eich, a programmer at Netscape, in just 10 days in May 1995. So 28 years back, right? The language was initially called Mocha, but a few years later they renamed this to LiveScript, then they renamed this to JavaScript. So guys, at this time Java was the most popular programming language, and the Netscape company wanted to make the advantage of this Java popularity as their scripting language by renaming it to JavaScript. But there was a problem. Originally, the trademark of Java was owned by a company called Sun Microsystems, which meant that Netscape could not legally use the name JavaScript without permission from the Sun Microsystems. To resolve this issue, Netscape entered into a trademark license agreement with Sun, and as a result of this, Mocha, or the LiveScript scripting language, became JavaScript. So guys, but don't get confused, Java and JavaScript are totally two different programming languages, right? So there is not even a single connection between these two. The name JavaScript was given to this scripting language simply for the marketing purpose to capitalize the popularity of Java at the time. By the way, this name change and the simplicity of this scripting language, JavaScript became popular day by day among developers. The initial version of JavaScript was very basic with only a few data types and control structures. But it was quickly adopted by web developers because of its simplicity and ease of use. As web browsers became more sophisticated, JavaScript was also improved and expanded with new features added to the language to make it more powerful and flexible. Originally, few years, Netscape continued to develop JavaScript, adding new features and making it more robust. However, JavaScript wasn't standardized and was implemented different by various browsers. This caused compatibility issues, making it difficult for developers to write JavaScript code that would work across different browsers. To address this problem, Netscape submitted JavaScript to ECMA International, a standards organization for computing. ECMA International created a committee to standardize the JavaScript language, and in 1997, they released the first version of the ECMAScript standard, which was based on JavaScript. Over the years until now, several versions of ECMAScript have been released, each with new features and improvements to the language. So as I said earlier, originally JavaScript was developed as a client-side scripting language to interact with the website. But in 2009, revolutionary developer Ryan Dahl developed Node.js, which allowed developers to use JavaScript on the server side. And this took JavaScript popularity to the next level. Because of this revolutionary invention, developers could use the same programming language on both the client and server side. This made web development more efficient and streamlined, as it eliminated the need for developers to learn and use separate programming language for the client and server sides. Node.js was built on top of the V8 JavaScript engine from Google Chrome and was designed to be fast, lightweight, and efficient. It allowed developers to build scalable network application with ease. So guys, learning JavaScript in 2023 and beyond can still significantly boost your web development career. JavaScript is a powerful and versatile language that is constantly evolving and improving, making it an essential skill for a web developer. So JavaScript is used not only for client-side scripting but also for server-side scripting, mobile application development, game development, and even for the desktop application development. With the increasing demand for web applications and the growth of the technology industry, the demand for JavaScript developers is only going to increase in the coming years. Moreover, JavaScript has a large and active community with many resources, libraries, and frameworks available to make development easy and more efficient. Some of the most popular frameworks include React, Angular, and Vue.js, and also the Node.js runtime environment is widely used for server-side development. In short, learning JavaScript in 2023 and beyond will be highly beneficial for web developers as it is a powerful language with numerous applications and growing demand in the industry. Wow, I think this was the long history class that you guys had, right? So, alright, enough of this boring stuff and let's get into the real business. Let's write our first JavaScript code. There are two ways to include JavaScript code in an HTML document. So the first method is we can include our JavaScript directly inside our HTML file. The second method is we can write our JavaScript code inside of a separate file and link that to our HTML page. So let's see this in action. First we need a project file to test our JavaScript code. So for this I will create a project folder inside my desktop. So you guys feel free to create your project folder wherever you want, right? I'll set the project folder name to something like JavaScript full course, and after that I'll be open this folder inside of the VS Code editor. So by the way, if any of you guys don't know about VS Code, it is just a code editor where we can write our codes in a more efficient way, right? So you guys can download this from its official website code.visualstudio.com. Just simply download the setup and install it on your computer. So this is supported cross-platform no matter what OS you use, Mac OS, Windows or Linux. So after you install, just simply open the project folder inside the VS Code. We can do that like this, right click and click this open with VS Code. That's it. So now let's create an HTML page. The page name is index and the file extension is .html. Now inside this, let's add the simple structure of an HTML document. For this we can use the VS Code emit shortcode. Simply type HTML:5 and hit enter. Perfect. Now let's write our JavaScript code using the first method. We'll write the JavaScript code inside this HTML page. So guys, this is the HTML page and inside of this we can write JavaScript code like this. So in order to write a JavaScript code, we have to define a JavaScript code scope inside this HTML document. So how do we do that? Can you guys remember, we can write inline CSS style inside of this HTML page, right? But we cannot write the CSS styles directly inside this HTML scope. So for this, we define a style scope using the styles HTML tag. So for this JavaScript also, we can use the same method. So to define the JavaScript scope, we have a special type of HTML tag called script. So using this, we can create a JavaScript scope inside of this HTML file. So we can define this JavaScript scope inside of the head, or we can define that inside the body scope. As a good practice, we will define this JavaScript scope bottom of the body tags. Alright, so now let's do this. Inside the body tag, let's define the script tags. Just simply open and close script tags. Now inside this, we can write JavaScript codes. So let's see an example for this. Let's write a code for something when the user clicks a button and show a welcome alert message. So for this we have a dedicated function in JavaScript called alert. So let's use that. So inside this, let's write the code alert and parentheses. So inside this we can pass the message that we want to show, welcome to the website. That's it. So now we have to show this alert message when we click a button, right? So for this, let's define a button inside the HTML scope, create a button tag, and the button text will be show message. Now we have to trigger this alert method when clicking this button. So in order to execute this, we have to create a JavaScript function and put this alert function inside of that function. So let's do that. Let's create a function. So simply create a function using the function keyword. After this, we have to define the function name as something welcome message. After this, parentheses and the function scope. Okay, now put this alert function inside this function. Now we have to call this function from this button when we click this button. For this, we have an event binder in JavaScript. So we can use the onClick event binder for this. So inside this button tag, onClick and equal sign. After this, call the function. The function name is welcome message. And don't forget to add the parentheses. That's it. So guys, I know all of these codes might confuse you. Just simply write this code and we will learn about all of this in detail throughout this course. In this section, I'm just trying to show you how to write a simple JavaScript code and how it works inside the browser, right? So that's it. Save this and open this inside the browser. In order to execute this, we have to run this inside the browser. So then only browser can understand this JavaScript, right? So how do we open this inside the browser? We can simply open this inside the browser by going to the folder path and just double clicking on it, or we can run this file using the live server VS Code plugin. So guys, what is this live server plugin? So the live server plugin for Visual Studio Code is a tool that allows you to launch a local development server with live reloading capability. It can be used to serve HTML, CSS and JavaScript files, as well as other static assets like images and fonts. To use the live server plugin, you first need to install it from the Visual Studio Code extension marketplace. Just simply go to this extension tab and search for the live server plugin and install it. Once it is installed, you can launch the server by right-clicking on the HTML file in the editor and select Open with Live Server from this context menu. This will open the HTML file in your default web browser, and any changes you make to the HTML or CSS or to the JavaScript file, it will be automatically reloaded in the browser when you save the files. So we don't need to reload the page every time we made a change, right? Alright, so let's run this. Right click and open with the live server. Now this will open inside my default browser, which is Google Chrome. I recommend you guys also to use Google Chrome as your default browser for this course, so we can avoid unnecessary errors and bugs. Alright, so inside the browser we can see this button. Just click on it. As you can see here, we got this alert message with our welcome message. Cool, right? So guys, this is how we write JavaScript code inside of an HTML page. Once again guys, I know some of you guys may not get these functions and these events, but don't worry about that. I just wanted you guys to show how to write JavaScript code inside of an HTML page. In the next lectures, you guys will get familiar with these code examples. Alright, now you guys know how to write JavaScript code inside the HTML page. We can write this using the script tags, right? So now let's see the second method, writing the JavaScript inside of a separate JavaScript file. So let's take the same example. Let's do this. So for this, let's create a new JavaScript file. The file name is something main and the file extension is JS. main.js. This file name can be any name, but you have to define this extension .js for JavaScript files. Same like the .html for HTML files and .css for CSS files. So now let's put this code inside the JavaScript. I'll copy this JavaScript code and paste it inside our newly created JavaScript page. So guys, inside this JavaScript page, we don't have to define the script tags. Why is that? Because this file is already a JavaScript file. So inside this, we can write JavaScript codes without any restrictions. Awesome. So now let's remove this JavaScript code from the HTML page. Save this all and go to the browser. Click on this button. This time we are not getting the welcome message alert. So something is wrong with our JavaScript code. That's why we are not getting this welcome alert message. So guys, we can find JavaScript errors from the browser console. So what is this browser console? The browser console is a tool that allows us to view messages, warnings and errors that are generated by JavaScript. It is a useful tool for debugging and troubleshooting web projects, as it can help us to identify and fix problems in our code. So now we have a problem. In order to identify the problem, we have to access the browser console. So how do we access that? Just simply right click on the browser view and select inspect. So this will open the developer options in the web browser. Inside this, go to the console tab. That's it. So very simple, right? So now inside this, we can see these red messages. So this is the problem or the error in our website. The error message is saying that welcome message is not defined. But as you guys know, we already defined this function inside our JavaScript file. But this is saying that this is not defined. And can you guys guess what is the problem? Yes, of course. The problem is, this time, as you guys remember, we created a new separate file for our JavaScript codes. But we didn't link that file to this HTML file. So when this HTML file loads inside the browser cannot find this welcome message function because now it is in a separate JavaScript file. So the browser doesn't know about that file. So guys, in order to fix this, we have to link that JavaScript file to this HTML page. Nothing fancy. This is also same like CSS. If you guys remember, when we write CSS styles inside of a separate file, in order to apply that style to the website, we have to link that CSS file to this HTML file. So this JavaScript linking also same like that. So alright, so how do we link the JavaScript file inside this HTML file? So for the CSS linking, we use the link tag. But in order to link a JavaScript file, we have to use the same script tag. So let's see this in action. Inside the bottom of the body tag, create a script tag. Now inside this, in order to link, we have to pass the path of our JavaScript file. So for this, we have an attribute called src. Inside the first tag src, and pass the file path. So // and the file name main.js. That's it. So now save this and back to the browser. Click on this button. This time we got our welcome message alert. And now this JavaScript function is working, which means the linking is success, right? So guys, this is how we deal with separate JavaScript file. Perfect.